I wonder why your COO would be shocked to hear you want to triple in size by the end of the year.
Yeah, but it's not triple in size. It's 6 times in size because I just kind of said it last year. Inbound has been good. RSA was really good. So it just has kind of kept growing. I was kind of said, not in jest, but in hyperbole. It was hyperbolic. A little less hyperbolic at the moment.
I see the value of AI as like flexibility first and foremost. And we are basically kneecapping that flexibility because we are locking it down to this like one button in the UI. The realization I had a couple weeks ago was MetaMonster is still the site audit tool that can fix issues for you. I don't need to talk about chat with your website. I don't need to talk about custom prompts. I just talk about what that will enable. Find images with missing alt text and generate those. Analyze your H1s and H2s. Analyze your site for internal link opportunities. We're rebuilding MetaMonster from the ground up to make the AI way more flexible. Yo. So, funny reason that I was late to this podcast recording. I was distracted trying to write a job description for the Miscreants product designer role that we're trying to fill.
That's true. You want to write the other ones, by the way? We're trying to hire like 3 more roles at this point.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. That's nuts, man. Hey, actually, I was going to put in here, how many people have you hired in the last year?
I don't fucking know. I don't know, man.
If you had to guess, like give me a number.
In the past year, 5, 6.
Okay, I guess 6. So I'm just gonna leave it as 6.
Okay. Dude, we've hired so many full time.
Or should I say like we've grown the team by 50% or something like that?
Sure. Yeah, we've grown the team by 50%. It sounds way better. We've doubled in size. Or I'm about to double the fucking team again at this point. I think I like said on a call that JJ heard where I was like, yeah, like we're trying to be like, 25, 30 people by the end of the year.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, yeah, that was her reaction.
I wonder why. I wonder why your COO would be shocked to hear you want to triple in size by the end of the year.
Yeah, but this was, it's not triple in size. It's 6 times in size because I just kind of said it last year. Or like the beginning. I think I said it in the beginning of the year. I mean, I don't know. Inbound has been good. Inbound has continued to be really good. RSA was really good. So it just has kind of kept growing. And I was kind of said, not in jest, but in hyperbole. It was hyperbolic.
Yeah. I will say
a little less hyperbolic at the moment.
I will say we always thought that like 20 to 30 people would be kind of the perfect size for an agency because at least for us, it was big enough that we could have enough clients that like if we lost a client or two, it wouldn't be like 20% of our revenue, 30% of our revenue. Like it would be a smaller chunk. It would, we could have a good manageable number of clients. It was still small enough that you wouldn't have a whole lot of process or red tape. It would still be pretty flexible, pretty collaborative. And also big enough that like if you lose an employee, like if an employee takes a new job, you weren't losing like, when we sold Crit, we were 6 full-time people, 10 including part-time. And so if we lost one person, like one full-time person, that was,
it hurts.
20% of our full-time workforce. And that's brutal. So I do think that's a good size. Now, would you want to stop there? Because you are more ambitious than I am, probably.
I am greed personified. I mean, when the year started, I like one of the exercises I did with JJ was that we sort of mapped out what a 25 to 30 person agency would look like.
Yeah, I remember this.
I think maybe I showed you as well that org chart. Yeah. I mean, I think agency wise, I'd probably stop there. I'm saying
Hmm.
probably. I don't know. Give it like 6 more months. I'll let you know. I can't. I think I think I can't fathom like
Running a
more.
50-person agency or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I can. I think at that point it's just like I think. I mean, the market is huge for sure. I think I would just. I think my shiny objectpreneurism would
Hmm.
just want to do other like even in that 30, right, there was still like two people were doing merch, other there was like a developer on a product, and I think those things would grow. So I think miscreants as a whole, I can see becoming larger and larger, but like pure client services, I don't know. I think it's, I think quality of work still matters, and I do worry about getting too large in that way.
It's definitely like
Um,
possible to scale while maintaining quality, but it is fucking hard.
yeah, I mean, we've won deals because people were unhappy with like killer agencies because ultimately, like you're so large, you have to, you like even now we can't like even now when a creator comes to us and they're like, hey, I only have like this much money to do it, like I have $3,000 to do something, right? It's like,
Hmm.
dude, we can't take that. But like at this point, we'd rather just do it for you as a like here's a free creator program, um, and like ultimately like you have to know that you're not going to get like creative director Ben's time on every single part of it. You're going to get it's going to be a training project for a junior. It's still going to be good. It's just not going to be it like the because the value mismatch is different, right? For them, like the
Hmm.
$3,000 is a lot. For us, it doesn't sustain anyone for time. Um, so, but like we don't want to give like we don't want you to have to feel like you paid for like crappy work that was on a long timeline. But if you get it
Hmm.
all for free, it kind of evens out that way a little bit. Um, that feels I don't know. That feels so like narcissistic or egotistical to say. Um,
How's that?
sometimes it's like because it's like, oh, you're not paying enough for us to care about you, you know, and that's the like if I was a freelancer, I take it, and I have done that on the side for some friendlies who like long time industry friends who needed something, but
Yeah, but
um,
like you just said, it's the realities of like you have bills to pay and
yeah,
people to sustain, and like you know that's a drop
yeah,
in the bucket for
for
an
sure,
agency level operation. It
for sure,
can be very different for a freelancer, and that's why sometimes if you have a small budget, it's better to go to a freelancer,
for sure,
someone to you know that
for sure.
is a bigger impact for. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm getting at earlier was just like, we've gotten deals because people felt scorned by their agency because they went to the large trusted agency, but like didn't pay the large agency budget and wanted the agency quality. But
Yeah.
like ultimately they got, juniors, mid levels working on their things, and then they're like, we weren't super happy. So I don't know. I guess that's the cool thing about ProServe, right? It's like you could always start something because the market is just so
What is ProServe?
professional services.
Oh, okay, I've never
Like
actually heard that term.
the I think in agency in like creative agency spaces it's not used so much as much
Hmm.
like law firms and whatever, but I
Hmm.
think it fits everything under like that like
Yeah.
NAICS code or something. Anyway, the I like the cool thing about ProServe is that it doesn't matter how many people are in the room, like you can always start another one because there's just so many buyers at the end of the day. Um, but I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Cool. So since you borked the last recording,
Yeah,
give us like a 30-second recap of RSA this year.
yeah. So okay, so for context, we got like 23 minutes in before Zencaster floated me a message, and then we just kind of risked it. And
Yeah.
it turns out it only recorded Andrew's voice the entire time. So,
By the way, I
um,
published that episode to Transistor and then unpublished it, and I don't know how that works with like RSS feeds and podcast apps and stuff. And so there might be just a kind of borked episode out there for people, or it might.
I mean, they can't even tell our voices apart, right? So, like,
Yeah, it doesn't
they
matter.
just this podcast has just been one person talking to himself the entire time. It's just
All right, 30-second recap of RSA. Go.
RSA was super busy. RSA was cool. Met a lot of clients. Met a lot of prospects. Brought Ben and our product marketer Aban there. It was good to hang out with them and we have been swamped ever since with inbound.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Um,
Was
you
there
know,
anything you did differently this year that led to the increase in inbound, or do you think it's just like time? Because this is something I always felt with marketing agencies, or
mhm,
um, that like there's a component to marketing agencies that is, thought leadership and, you know,
yeah,
doing talks and networking, like doing all of the marketing activities. But there's a large portion of your success in marketing and agency is just like, how long have you existed, and how long has there been time for people to like find out about you? Like marketing and agency feels much more like brand marketing to me,
mhm,
where you just kind of need to get the word out slowly over time and like build trust that you're not going to just disappear with their money,
yeah,
um versus, demand gen.
yeah. When you are this specialized into a single industry,
Hmm.
time in industry, like there is just benefit of seeing the same people and the us then being like refreshed in their mind, right? They're like, oh yeah, these guys exist, and it's not the first time they're hearing about it.
Yeah.
And then you can update them like, here's the stuff we've done since the last time we spoke. And I think over time that builds a lot of trust. So I mean, I do think just time in seat has paid off dividends. I think there's a lot of like smart things we've done. I think a lot of the like the inbound now is just like, I keep saying to the team, it's like goodwill compounded over just all the
Hmm.
years of, the times where we have done really cheap work, like really like where we've just bought the project basically, or even maybe it wasn't as profitable because it was early on, or just like times where we've, you know, done something as a favor to someone, maybe not even agency related or something like that. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of things we did differently, this was the first RSA out of 6 RSAs where I actually had like planned scheduled meetings on my calendar, and I was meeting people, not just like going to different people's happy hours. Like
Hmm.
I got to walk the expo floor once because I was just in different meetings every single day. Um, so I think that
But like my guess is you were able to schedule those meetings
yeah,
again just kind of because you have now built
yeah,
relationships and built
yeah,
trust and built the Miscreants name, and so people wanted to take your
yeah,
meeting invite versus, 5-6 years ago.
exactly. So I don't know.
Cool.
It's been good.
Yeah.
Kind of terrified at the amount of inbound, but I'm glad we have another project that we're working on
Yeah,
with you.
I am too.
Yeah.
Kind of full circle. I don't know if you want to say who we're working for, or want to hold off on that right now. um
We'll hold off on the name. We'll just redact it.
okay.
Like, well, this
um
person, this.
this person who we're about to start a product project with, that is, the reason for the product hiring we're doing. um they initially came to Crit
Yeah,
back in like, I don't even remember when, like 2018, 2019.
19, 2020, 20. No, 21, 21, 2021.
No, it would have been earlier than that, because
Yeah, it was the end of 2020. It was the end of 2020.
they came
Corn.
to us when Miscreant, when you were still working on Miscreants part-time, I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit, that's right. They're the reason I went full time.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
came to Crit initially. We didn't have capacity to work with them, and so I was
Mhm.
like, you and I had just become friends,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, you got to talk to my friend Sean. He's like doing the same kind of work we're doing and like getting his agency off the ground.
Mhm.
um and so, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, that project was
Yeah.
the project that led to you going full time on Miscreants. And
Yeah.
then fast forward 5 years later, I'm now working for you at Miscreants. Miscreants is twice the size that Crit ever was, and they're coming back, and we're working with them together again,
Yeah.
which is just super dope.
Yeah, those motherfuckers got acquired like 3 months out of launch, out
Yeah,
of
that
launch,
was
by the way.
wild.
Which is a terrifying idea of like the thought of like, oh, they're gonna pay us on retainer, which means I can quit my job and do this full time. And 3 months later, so we don't have any work for you because Mandian bought us out.
Yeah, but at least he invited us to hang out with him in his pool cabana at DEF CON that year.
Right. Right. His personal cabana. Yeah. No, he's been super good to us the entire time, and I think he was also excited to hear that you were on the project as
Oh,
well.
sick.
That also helped.
Cool.
I mean, that also helped build a lot of confidence too. Like, I was like, yeah, I remember those guys. So this is like a full circle. This is a
This will
cool
be a
full
fun
circle
one.
moment.
This will be a
Yeah.
really fun one.
Yeah. By the way, I bought a pool table.
What?
Yeah,
Where are you gonna put a pool table?
in the basement, in my parents' basement. It's for my parents.
Nice.
To for me to come, for me to go and play pool.
I've always wanted a pool table. Pool is one of
Yeah.
those things that I've always wanted to be better at. I grew up playing with my uncles when we
Nice.
would go visit them. They had pool tables, and so when we'd go visit
Nice.
them, like over Thanksgiving and stuff, they'd teach me how to play. But I never
Sweet.
played consistently enough, so I'm very like streaky. Like every now and then, I'll hit a streak, and I'll feel like a pool god. But the
Yeah,
vast majority of the time, I can barely string 2 shots together.
I'm with you. I took a semester of billiards in college as a gym elective or some elective, and still garbage at it. Still get washed every time I go play at a pool bar by
Yeah.
random pool league people.
One of my friends in Detroit was talking about playing pool, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. You play pool frequently." I come to find out she's like in a pool league and has like her own pool cues that she keeps in her car, and I was like, "Oh shit,
Sweet.
you're like playing pool. You're not
Yeah.
just
No, she's playing billiards.
yeah,
We're
probably.
barely playing pool.
I still don't
Yeah.
understand the difference because they are different games, right? Like there's slightly different rules or something.
That's news to me. I thought they were just. I knew snooker was different. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
understand
yeah.
the rules, but
I also remember when I went over to the UK when I was living there in college, like they had different rules than we did, which was interesting. So I had to learn like UK rules.
interesting.
Maybe they played
Maybe
billiards.
that's billiards. Yeah, yeah. I do know. I think jump shot, like when you pop the ball over,
Hmm.
are illegal in like UK competitive, but not in USA competitive.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Scooping jump shots are illegal everywhere. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, I am not good enough to make a jump shot anyway, so it doesn't really matter for my
It's okay.
purposes. But
Me neither. Yeah. But yeah, I plan to become one of those uncles that are
hell
just
yeah,
like secretly good at pool, so that when I'm retired, when I'm 65, I'll
yeah,
like hustle my brother's kids or something. That'd be great.
that sounds dope.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Do you want to recap what we missed? The more important stuff that we missed out on.
RSA was
the
important.
podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
So
big. This was huge. So yeah.
okay, so we are rebuilding MetaMonster from the ground up. Kind
Hell
of,
yeah.
kind of not. Kind of. So the big thing is like we've been talking for a while on this podcast and offline about one, just this consistent feeling that we're not doing enough right now. Right now our tool runs a crawl, and then you can press a button to generate page titles and meta descriptions. You can do those one at a time or in bulk. You can tweak them. You can publish them to WordPress, and you can export them to a CSV or export your page content to a CSV or Markdown files. Like that's everything our tool does. And while people sort of say like, "Oh, that's cool, that's useful, I would use that," we're finding that people aren't really using it super consistently. It's just like it's not enough of a need consistently enough to warrant paying a subscription, and certainly not a subscription that starts at like $50 a month. We have a couple of customers, but largely not seeing the level of adoption that we want to see. And so my friend Asia Matos, when I went to hang out with her in Atlanta, put it pretty succinctly, which was like, "Oh yeah, you do one job now, and you need to do more jobs in order to be able to like be valuable enough to warrant a subscription and warrant like there's also the all the other costs of software that we don't talk about enough, which is like, adoption and training and risk, like the risk that you disappear and like all of this stuff. Um, so all of those are like these sort of unseen costs that people
Yeah.
are factoring into, and
Yeah.
and we're just not overcoming the costs right now. And we could try to just like slash costs, but that's not really what we want to do. We don't want to build that kind of business, so we want to add more value. Couple this with, we've had this long we've had this feeling for a long time that we're not leveraging AI in the right way. Um, and maybe the right way isn't maybe that's not maybe the right way is the wrong way to put it. um, but
A
like
more
we're not
useful.
getting the
Uh,
most out of AI. um I see the value of AI as like flexibility first and foremost. Like, it's obviously got accuracy issues. It is not always all that fast, but its power, and the power of LLMs in particular, is they're reasonably good at a huge swath of tasks. And so that flexibility is what makes LLMs special. And we are basically kneecapping that flexibility because we are locking it down to this like one button in the UI and saying like, all right, now we're taking the magic of LLMs and we're just going to do this one little thing with it. So for a long time, I've wanted to like open up the flexibility of LLMs. I've talked to you and talked to some other people floating this idea as like chat with your website, custom prompts. And the feedback I get is generally like, "Oh, cool. That sounds interesting. It sounds cool, but what do I do with it?" Um, so the realization I had a couple weeks ago was one, um, I even though I see this as a major change to MetaMonster, I don't need to talk about it like a major change. MetaMonster is still the site audit tool that can fix issues for you. And when I talk about these new features, I don't need to talk about chat with your website. I don't need to talk about custom prompts and like AI. I just talk about what that will enable. And what it'll enable is for us to very quickly prototype out audit features and generation features. So we can now, we'll be able to really quickly um, generate page titles and meta descriptions, um, find alt text, images with missing alt text and generate those, analyze your H1s and H2s for missing keywords or duplicates, um, analyze your site for internal link opportunities, um, generate a voice and tone guide, um, generate a readability score for a page, and offer suggestions for how you can enhance the readability of a page. So there's this huge swath of like use cases that we can enable, and I think that's what we need to talk about. So essentially, like, we're rebuilding MetaMonster from the ground up, to make the AI way more flexible. We've also realized that we were building it like a traditional product. So we were building it just as like a traditional crawler or site audit tool with AI bolted on. And with this new focus, we're actually going to build it more like the crawler is just one of a set of tools that the AI can leverage. The export, the WordPress integration, the you know accounting tool, like we're building this collection of tools that the AI can leverage, and an interface to help people analyze the output and interact with that output in a scalable and like well organized manner. um so
yeah, there's more. It's the flexibility that you can create workflows for yourself to replace whatever you currently do, right? And I think the difference is like workflow replacement versus like workflow automation, if that makes any sense. Um, you're squinting.
yeah, I don't know if I workflow replacement and workflow automation sound like the same thing to me. So double click on that. Tell me
Uh,
more.
this is like my product marketing brain switching in, which is like you find a similar thing, but it's different enough. But so it makes someone go, "What do you mean by that?" Um, in my head, workflow automate. If I were to frame it, like workflow automation is structured, like this is going to come in, and therefore these are the outputs that are going to come out of it, right? Zapier is workflow automation. You have a set of use case, like you have a specific set of structured and predicted inputs versus like it can be anything on a website, so you don't have to tie it to uh, like specific like a webhook event or something like that, and then you can replace a workflow that you normally have in you replace a specific like job to be done in your like day-to-day work, and you sort of trust AI to sort of do that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm still struggling because like
Mhm.
automation feels like workflow replacement. Like it's the the reason you set up automation is to automate a job to be done so that that job is handled by machines in some way, right?
Let me workshop it. This is like a thing I've just been slowly brewing on,
Okay.
which is like there's this, like, I think I sent it to you, like this Harvard Business Review, like people don't buy products because it saves them time. No one buys because nobody buys products to spend more time doing their job.
Hmm.
So how do you like create messaging that ladders down from that of
Yeah.
like, it's not like MetaMonster saves you time doing SEO is not valuable, therefore something else has to be. This is me finding parallels and
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
And
Yeah.
I do love the emphasis on workflows. Like I just listened to a great episode of Startups for the Rest of Us where they were talking about positioning and talking about positioning in terms of workflows instead of in terms of like, you know, pure benefits um or like, you know, technical jargon and like product
Mhm.
categories and stuff. It's more like this person's process was like identify the workflows that
Oh,
you
was that,
fit.
the guys at Fletch?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
'em?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're great. They're
They
awesome.
they spoke
Yeah.
at microconf, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super smart. Yeah.
Yeah, their process made a lot of sense to me. So
Mhm.
I do think you're on something with like the workflow piece. I'm just not. To me, workflow automation and workflow replacement sound like synonyms for the same
Yeah,
thing. So I'm not
that's good
the
feedback.
difference there isn't clicking for me.
Yeah, that's good feedback. The point to kind of to not, pull us on a tangent from MetaMonster, or to segue back to that, the thing I think that was cool was, I think you're right, you guys were building it as a traditional SaaS product. There was one button that you clicked on, generated all these things. You do, this specific thing with it. I think so. After the podcast, we also kind of cut it. I just kind of wanted to jump off so you could show me the demo.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing. Do you want to talk about like
Yeah.
the
So
thinking
we're
behind the UI and how you were going to do it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we have been pretty heavily inspired by a product called Clay, which is
Yep.
a lead generation tool with like an AI agent built in. And the way Clay works is you run like a traditional search for lead gen where they just like pull from a bunch of data sources you and run a bunch of filters. And so you get this like spreadsheet essentially of leads. And then you use their agent to their like agent builder to run workflows or automations against that data set. Um, and to us, that feels like a very similar process to how SEOs work. Like SEOs generally like pull content from a website, and that is their data set. And then they're doing various things with that data. So they're performing optimizations, they're doing analysis, and they're all of those things are could be considered kind of enrichments on the data set and just like
Yep.
little bits of information you're adding or editing with the data set, which also coincidentally is like how data scientists think about things and
Hmm.
think about working with AI is like you've got a data set and then you're running that data set against a series of prompts and then
Yep.
you have evals to test like how good, how reliable and effective the output is. So it makes a lot of sense in this like sort of new AI paradigm of product building, and I think has us really excited. And so what I've realized is we're really building like an SEO agent builder.
Yeah. I mean, Clay for SEO,
Yeah,
I think is where
Clay
we
for
landed on at
SEO,
the end.
SEO agent builder, like, and it's gonna feel kind of like, um, you know, a spreadsheet with like some fairly sophisticated tooling for
Yeah.
running analysis and generating new fields on that spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's sick.
Yeah.
So that was last week
Yeah.
after the demo. Where are you now?
We have a prototype.
Okay.
We
Sweet.
have we are Austin is polishing up some of the details on a little proof of concept. So can't generate rows in the spreadsheet yet, not doing any of that. But he has started working with building out a little like AI chat widget inside of MetaMonster. And like at first you hear AI chat widget and you're like, okay, that's not that big a deal. You're taking content and throwing it against like an LLM. But we're building a lot of the little components that will ultimately power the more sophisticated agentic flows. Um, and we're using this really cool new set of tools for this, Vercel's AI SDK, which makes it really, really simple to like validate output from an LLM. So like require output in a structured format and make sure it fits that structure. It makes it really possible to define tools that the LLM can use. So there's like all this talk about MCP servers right now in the AI space, right? And MCP servers are like one way of providing tools to that an LLM can call, where you can run some like traditional code for things that LLMs aren't that great at, like math and um, you know querying a database, or whatever things that traditional code is good at that you don't need LLMs for and that LLMs are bad at. MCP servers are like one way to expose tools to LLMs, but the AI SDK also lets you do like a version of that locally. And so we'll have like our web crawler will kind of be a tool. I don't know exactly what the workflow is going to be yet, but like our web flow crawler might be a tool. The like the WordPress integration might be a tool. We have a tool to like count things. So Austin's been building out some of these tools. He's also like the other piece of this that's pretty cool um and is another piece that doesn't exist in like your default chat GPT or whatever. Like chat GPT can in theory, like with a deep search, like pull a page on your website and stuff like that. But because we have already pulled all the content from your website, we're also going to um, convert that to embeddings, and store those embeddings in a vector database and be able to feed that to the AI, so the AI can run a vector search. The like can run a vector search based on your prompt, find the most relevant content from your website, then take the text from that content, feed it to the LLM, and will create that'll be like a key part of the agentic flow. And that is important for getting the right information to the LLM, and also not like, even though context windows are getting large with websites, you can still blow past them pretty fast, and
Yep.
large amounts of content are also slower to process, and etc. And so it also helps you like streamline everything. And that embedding process is something that like Cursor does for you when you're using Cursor to your code base. I haven't seen people talking at least about doing that with a website for marketers.
Yeah, I mean, the closest we have gotten is when you added the export as markdown.
Mhm.
I would scrape a site, pull it down, drop it into Claude as an art, create a Claude project and drop it in so that it creates its mini little like. I think it's like a vector
It might
embedding.
be
I
doing
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
We're doing something with
It might
RAG.
be doing
Um,
embeddings on like all of the content of a
yeah,
project. Yeah, I'm not
maybe.
actually
I have
sure.
no idea. Me neither. Um, Yeah, that's like that's the closest that we've gotten, right? And that has its own limits of can't be this too large of a file, can only upload 25 of them, etc. So I mean, it's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. We're
Yeah,
also creating embeddings of the raw HTML and the markdown so that
cool.
we can do analysis on the HTML. So we can do analysis on like links and tags and the technical details of your website and
Mhm.
pages on your site. Um,
Um, yeah, especially for like SEO, wanting to know which ones are like if I'm missing an ARIA label or something
mhm.
doesn't have alt text, something like that.
Yeah.
The doubly cool thing is that this is, I think, well timed for Figma's site thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because yeah, since the last week, I sent half of my designers to config after we went to RSA, and they were there on the conference at the conference when they announced like Figma Make, Figma Draw, Figma Sites, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a cool new web builder that enables more people to build sites, which I think just kind of blows the market up a little bit more for you guys too. So
Yeah, I'm really excited. We should have it under a feature flag like in the next day or two, and
cool.
so I'll give you access at least on your personal account, and you can
Sweet.
start playing around with it. It's pretty buggy right now because it's just a proof
Mm-hmm.
of concept, but um, like Austin was testing it, and he was like running it against the Small Efforts website, and he was like, "Tell me all the like episodes where Andrew or Sean mentions Rob Walling," and it's coming back. So you can do like this really interesting querying and analysis sort of stuff
Yeah.
with it that just isn't possible with like Screaming Frog.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
so I
Love
think
it.
it's going to be really important for differentiating. I don't know. I still don't know exactly how we're going to position it. I mean, I think to start, it's just going to be like a site audit tool that fixes things for you,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just talk in our marketing about like some of the analysis that we can do that other tools can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like we still feel like we want to stay in that analysis space as much as possible. Like AirOps is another one of our competitors and someone we've been inspired by, and they have a similar like grid concept and workflows, and like they're honestly like a more powerful, more complex version
Yeah.
of what we're building. But I think the flip side is one, I think there's value in being easier to set up, easier to get started with. But they're also like all of their positioning is focused around content generation at scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also seeing a shift in like the way marketing thought leaders are talking about marketing, and like people are kind of talking about you know a shift away from generating massive amounts of content and a shift towards brand based marketing, social based marketing, like um uh and so I think we're going to try to stay in more of the analysis space.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can ingest your website, maybe eventually we can ingest your social accounts and different things, and we help you run analysis and like um and
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a better angle, and to kind of touch on the point about like marketing leaders and whatnot, I think because we're out of that ZERP era, because we're now in like expense management era land, I think like content marketing at scale is attractive at first because like you get ROI through two places, right? You either make money or you save money. Um, and and when you want to save money, you choose like different places to kind of save. And when you generate content marketing at scale, you save money of hiring outsourced like writers to do. But it's like, to me it sounds like content slop at scale, like
mhm.
content SEO slop at scale, which if that is the strategy, that sure, I guess. But going off of what you're saying of like marketing leaders sort of talking more about like brand or demand gen or like high value traffic going to the site, like that's more towards that sort of like make site better so it makes more money, less make content easier, like mass content easier to write.
Yeah.
So I think the analysis part, I think there, yeah, I mean, I think there is something there to it. It's, yeah, yeah, cool, sweet,
So
sweet.
I'm feeling pretty hyped. long way to go. Long way
Mhm.
to go. This is an ambitious direction.
Yeah.
But I also think that like, I just was listening to an podcast with Brian Castle and Justin Jackson, and Brian was arguing that like, you know, AI enables bootstrap founders to be a little more ambitious than we used to be.
Mhm.
Um, and I think there's some truth to that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think same feedback I gave you offline, but I think this is like multi-million dollar SaaS startup. Uh,
I hope, man.
like
I hope we're on something. I am in the process of writing a blog post. I've got the rough draft written about
Mhm.
like the validation process we followed for MetaMonster, and like I the working title is like this time feels different. Um,
Nice. Nice.
but at the same time, like as I was writing that, like one of our 4 customers canceled this week, and so I
So,
had a little bit of a moment of, does it feel different? Or or are we still fucked?
uh-huh.
Are we still building something no one wants or cares about? But no, I think people have been engaging with us a lot more, even though we haven't just magically hit on the right product and the right feature set and everything out of the gate.
Mhm.
I think people have been engaging with us more, talking to us. We have a couple of customers that's different than Chart Juice ever was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does feel different, even if the signals aren't all like blaring, you're doing the right thing just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, cool. I'm excited for you to work on this product project, by the way, because I think, given the fact that it's an AI project as
Hmm.
well, there's going to be I think there's going to be crossover and interesting learnings. Um,
Yeah,
the client that we've spoken about has gone pretty deep on some other ideas as well, and
that's cool.
I think it'll be a good like
I
extra.
honestly
Mhm.
wish I could like redesign Dreadnought from the ground up, knowing what I know now.
Don't say that. Don't. Everyone loves Dreadnought. People,
Everyone does love Dreadnought, and
uh,
like I think we did a solid job, but I also know so much more and understand the space so much better now, and I'm like, oh, but what if we could just start fresh?
yeah. I saw your ex roommate at the Dreadnought party,
Oh, Morris was there?
and yeah, the first thing he said to me was, "You guys really outdid yourselves with this one."
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
And I was like, "All Andrew, all Andrew," and he's like, "He's like makes sense. That checks out." So
Cool, man.
sweet.
How's
Yeah.
he doing?
He's good. He's good. I think he's enjoying not being CEO.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of a shitty job.
yeah. It's awful. I think about how shitty it is every day right now. No, no. I think I think it's better without VC bosses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Um, how are things going with your product? What's new on margins?
So
I
making
almost said
progress.
miscreants. The fact that you have 2 M name
I know.
and
Yeah.
we're also an M name, like we gotta do better next time. No, I actually love the name margins.
Thanks. 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 I think it's good. I think we can all have the same logo. It should be M in a circle. Margins is good. Our dev came back from vacation. He's been jamming on it a little bit more. Um, ways to go. I think. Um,
Oh, oh,
f-
the
uh,
website resolves.
oh no! Don't tell the world
Margins.so
that. Oh
resolves
my
to an
god!
actual
That's because
site
I was
now.
testing something else out. It's not even done. I was trying to
You
I was
mean
trying to test.
link 1, link
Mhm.
2, link 3, link 4, link 5 is not the final footer copy?
No, no, no. That is those are secret Easter eggs when people click on them.
Nice.
No, I published that because I was testing out a thing I was vibe coding, and I needed like a test site to mess around with. That was like hosted somewhere,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to do with the miscreants. Or well, I wanted to do more than one site. Um, Margins is going well. I think, you know, I'm anxious on timeline given the fact that uh, Webflow is deprecating their editor in about a month from now.
Hmm.
Um, so thinking long and hard about that. Might have to just sit with the fact that it's not going to be fully ready for the world by then, but maybe that's okay. Also because I don't think anyone's going to solve the problem the way we are. I think I think similarly to you and AirOps, we have also, some other incumbents in the space like Story Chief and Contentful. Um, except the difference is that, Storage even Contentful are meant to be like content marketing operating systems where you put your social media content, all this sort of stuff inside of this thing, and then like publishing to a CMS is a second class experience. And like writing is okay, but it's not the same, right? Like where we're prioritizing the ability to add tables or to do all these other things that, whereas for those it's more like, you know let's not add additional features to your CMS or additional whatever sort of things. um, so that's my parallel. um, yeah, I mean, long ways to go. Internally, we've kind of, phase one is we have to get it to a point where internally we can use it for our clients and publish things. Phase two is that our clients can start using it, and phase three is it's ready for public consumption. So long ways away from phase two at the moment. It's still early alpha stages, but I mean, hopeful. Feels better. I think everyone's reaction. I showed Austin the other day on a call, and for a separate thing, but I think his reaction was that, this like looks much better than Webflow CMS.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think the fact that Figma Sites is launching and going to launch its CMS soon, and having seen some mocks of that CMS, um, like ultimately this being able to publish the Figma sites, Framer, and Webflow is just like how we'll be able to grow, and there's just a lot
Yeah.
of opportunity. So excited for that. Yeah, that's, let me think. That's about it.
Makes
I
sense.
think. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's like half a website that's live now. So, um,
Can follow along with the process.
yeah, it really is building in public because I just published it.
Are you gonna throw up like a waiting list or something at some point, or?
Yeah. I think the CTA will probably be a waiting list. Yeah, again, it was like half built before I literally took it live because
Mhm.
I was trying to build. I think I told you about this like version control thing for Webflow
Yeah, yeah,
that I was working. I was like vibe coding. Yeah, once a code base gets large enough, Lovable and Bolt really just start to struggle. Like
yeah.
I can feel them getting dumber. You know, they start like not understanding things I'm saying, like things I referenced before.
Hmm.
But makes sense to pull out Cursor to help
I was
solve
about to
some other
say, have
things.
you tried like taking a Lovable or Bolt project and pulling it into Cursor and seeing if it
Yeah.
does better?
Yeah, it helps solve some of the problems better. I think at some point the context window becomes so large, I think, that Lovable gets into this like recursive, like it can't solve the problem because it can't think out of the single file that caught that the I ran into this problem, like this type instantiation problem, and
Hmm.
I like Lovable could not fix it. um and and some other problems because I think they have a tendency to like not really use React hooks and like use effect very well.
Hmm.
um and um I think going back to like context window not large enough, so it starts getting lazy and like looks at only a small segment of the code, so it only thinks about that and it doesn't think about everything. You have to pull it into Cursor, fix that problem, and republish. Fixed it, but yeah, it feels like two steps forward, once 3 steps back sometimes. But it the coding with Lovable takes so long now, that I've just been watching Sopranos while I've been,
I mean, there
um,
is something nice about that workflow sometimes where you like if you give AI like a bigger task and then you just walk away and then come back to it and then, you know, provide it some
mhm,
critique
yeah,
and then,
yeah,
go back and forth. That's how
yeah.
whatever happened to that. There's that thing that everyone was like freaking out about that was supposed to be like the developer killer. It was called like Jink
Devin,
Devin.
yeah,
Devin.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. It
yeah. They
it
Turns
worked
out
that
that
way,
demo.
I think, right? Like,
Uh, yeah. You could walk away for a full day and come back
mhm,
later on. Yeah, I mean, it turns out that that demo was faked. So
classic.
that's exactly what happened to it.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
funny. I remember everyone was like freaking out, like Devin is the end of developers, and then
mhm.
I haven't heard anything about it in 6 months.
Yeah. I think a lot of the engineers also then like did a little whistleblowing and were like, "Yo, like it's a mess at the moment." I'm sure they'll improve it. I think great video for what it's worth. Like, excellent. Whoever was on that marketing team, great job. Great demo. Um, yeah, I mean, that was like pre 3.7 Sonnet or 3.5 even, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure it's gotten much better now, but I don't know. Can't swing $500 a month at the moment yet.
No, that's nuts.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get people to put down a credit card for a 7-day free trial for $50 a month,
yeah.
and no one wants to do that. So,
Yet.
yeah.
Yet.
By the way, I dug into our Google Ads a little bit more,
Mm,
and I think part of the problem, so bunch of problems, but
sure.
I do think one of the problems with our marketing right now is that the majority of the people hitting our website, even though we're getting this crazy high, did I tell you this? We're 27% of people who are coming in from Google Ads are clicking the start free trial button,
Oh yeah. You did show me
which
the
feels
post bot
nuts to me. That
analytics.
feels so high. But then
Yeah.
less than 1%, like less than half a percent are getting through to actually like creating a trial account. Um, and so I think that's like largely a pricing mismatch. I'm still a little surprised by how many people drop off at the like create account step. Um, unless my messaging is
Well, you still ask for credit card first, right?
so no, it's created account,
Mhm.
ask, then like pick your pricing plan, input your credit card, and
I see.
then
So they're not creating accounts.
yeah, they're not even like creating the account to get to the pricing page.
Mm,
Although I do try to like in the micro copy there make it clear that you're going to have to put a credit card in, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's working. Um,
maybe.
but the other thing I just noticed was like the people who were creating accounts, even though they weren't putting credit cards in, they were all like personal email accounts. It was all like such and such 1234 at gmail.com. Um,
Mm,
and even the business accounts that we're getting through were mostly not agencies. They seem to be more like little startups or small businesses or media companies or something like that. And so I think that like while there's volume for the keywords that we're currently targeting with our ads, I don't think it's SEOs necessarily searching those keywords.
mm,
Like, we get a lot of volume from AI meta description generator or something like that.
mhm.
Um, and if you think about it, like what SEO is searching AI meta description generator?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean that's SEOs and like agencies are more B2B buyers. They don't buy in those ways. Um,
I think they still buy from
mhm.
Google search and from
Oh, sorry. Those like that keyword, like some
yeah.
of the more higher volume keywords like that. I think there's like more specific things
Yeah.
they look
Look,
at.
like my guess is Screaming Frog alternative is probably better.
Mhm.
That's another one that gets a decent bit of volume. AI SEO tools maybe is probably a mix of like crap and but maybe um
There's
some SEOs.
maybe I
It
think if I'm an SEO, I'd probably maybe would look at more like try to search like GEO related things, like
well,
generative AI SEO
I mean,
related
we're
stuff.
not a GEO tool, so that doesn't do any good for us.
All GEO is just SEO in my
I
opinion.
agree with that, but
Yeah.
then if you know that,
Mm.
why would if you're an SEO and you think all GEO is SEO, would you be searching GEO tools?
I don't think it's necessarily that common yet, but yes, you're not a GEO tool. I was just saying that like that would be maybe something an SEO person would be searching. I also don't think every SEO has thought about something like that
Has
yet.
has made the connection that all GEO is just SEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I don't know. I don't know that many SEOs.
it might
Um,
also be that we like have to get in with influencers and stuff
Hmm.
in order to really get in front of professional SEOs. It might be that they're not searching for new tools on Google on a regular basis. So actually my next project, while I am doing interviews for Miscreants, I'm also going to be doing some user interviews for
Cool.
MetaMonster to try to
Cool.
identify the buying process for like SEO agencies and learn more about that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. How much of your? I know we're almost at time here. What is your data? Just out of curiosity, what is outside of miscreants, right?
Yeah.
What do you do day to day? I'm sorry. Um,
That's a great question. I don't
yeah,
always know the answer.
gotcha.
It's been
Um,
the last like month and a half has been weird. So like normally I try to split my time when I have miscreants clients. I've been trying to split my time like roughly half miscreants work and then half growth marketing work for MetaMonster.
mhm,
And so that is copywriting, it's managing our Google ads, managing our cold email outreach, ideally scheduling demos and running demos with people, talking about MetaMonster on LinkedIn, um, reaching out to friends to see if I can show them MetaMonster, get their feedback, trying to get introductions. Um, I've got a long list of things I want to do that like the, you
mhm,
know, tweaking our pricing. I did tweak our pricing a little bit one day, but like there's a lot more to be done there. Although I don't think it's like super valuable to do that right now when we're building towards this new future that's going to be pretty different from what we offer right now. So like I don't want to over optimize our pricing for what we offer right now. Um, there's also like building. I want to build some free tools. So I'll eventually do a bunch of that kind of stuff. Um, uh, you know, writing content both for my
mhm,
personal newsletter and for the miscreants or sorry, the MetaMonster site. Um,
mhm,
yeah, the
mhm.
M's are gonna fuck with me.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, yeah, ideally my focus is like growth marketing for um, growth and marketing, and I say growth because it's like you know it's not just traditional marketing. Like I will probably write some code. I'll probably do some sales. I'll probably, um, contribute on the product side from time to time. Certainly spend some time each week, talking through product decisions with Austin and like relaying feedback, what I'm hearing from people to him. Um, and so, yeah, like growth to me is a more, you know, encompasses a more holistic like marketing approach that includes like tweaking product stuff to try to impact your funnel and all that
Mhm.
jazz.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Helpful. Helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in reality, I've also like took a 4-day weekend to go hang out with my mom and have had some
Mhm.
pretty lazy days where I did not get started until halfway through the day. So it's been
I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty sweet. That's pretty. Yeah.
It's been nice, but I also like
Mhm.
I don't want to get too used to, you know, getting my day started at noon.
Oh.
Or like there were some days where I just did like house chores all day.
Mhm.
Um, which makes Maddie very happy, but
Right.
also probably not something I'll be able to do forever. Or maybe it is. Maybe that's how I'm, I am trying to structure my life in a way that is like maximum flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have a growing sense of an existential crisis.
Yeah.
It's like I moved from like 0 to 1 founder to like, even with margins, right? Like I'm so used to the idea that if I'm starting something, I have to be the one to build it.
Hmm.
And this is like, thinking like an owner.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah. And like even with miscreants, like as more people take more work off my plate, like I literally asked JJ one of the calls a couple months ago. Like, I was like, after we get with those 30 people, like
Hmm.
after we have enough, we have critical mass of people. It's just like, what the fuck is my job? What am I supposed to do? Because like, I don't know. It's not like sales is the answer, because at some point I would just have someone do sales.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, the goal for Miscreants has always been to free up your time and give you the resources to pursue other creative projects like margins and the apparel and all of
sure.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like it's a different mindset, and
Yeah. Yeah, it is for
uh,
sure. And I feel
yeah.
like it's so hard for most founders to let go of the feeling that they have to be doing all the things. And if you don't let go of that, then you're never able to transition to the like goal state that you had at the beginning of like having your time be freed up to do whatever you want. Um, so yeah, ideally too, you're like mentoring and like writing and providing you know
Mhm. Yeah. Is
education and
every
support, right?
Sure. I just hear writing. I hear writing a lot. I hear writing come up. I feel like writing comes up a lot with folks who get to this
Yeah, because
sort
I
of
think at a
stage.
certain point, like you want
Mhm.
to, if you want to set the company vision, if you want to set, if you want to, like we talked about in the episode, one of the things we talked about last week in the episode that didn't make it out was,
Mhm.
um, you know, I've been wanting to try to slowly start to make the transition in my own writing from, um, like just sort of journaling almost like vlogging blog like personal firsthand experience to more like analysis and you know uh
Mhm.
insight um and I want to be careful about doing that because I don't want to like act like I know more than I do, but I think part of if you look at some of the and a little bit this is like the agent this is like selection bias because the agency owners who are
Yep.
public are going to
Yep.
be going to rate more. So like
Yeah.
Peter Kang, um who's fuck, why am I blanking on that guy's name right now? Who's the guy from the SEO guy?
Oh, MP Digital, Neil,
No.
or Crazy
Um
Egg.
nope, nope, nope. The one in Philadelphia, they're all over the country, but um shoot. Why am I spacing on his name right now? Um,
The Sith guys.
no.
I have no idea.
there's so many SEO agencies.
Mhm.
Um, dude, this guy is always in my here. Will Reynolds, Seer Interactive. Um,
That's right.
like Will is constantly writing and stuff, and we talked about with you like one of the bottlenecks at Miscreants is transferring the industry knowledge that you've built up over the years to other people. And I think like the most effective way to do that when you have 30 people to do that with is not like through one-on-ones, it's through writing. Even at Great Noise, like Andrew was trying to do this where
Mhm.
CEOs spend a lot of time like writing memos. They spend a lot of time talking to people and in meetings and like thinking and reading and like digesting information, and then usually the best way to like organize those thoughts into something useful for your team is through a memo, a blog post, a you know some sort of written communication, I think,
Yeah.
or a
Fair.
presentation. Some people probably do it through you know
Mhm.
presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. 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 Sounds fun. Sounds like a good time. Um,
But also, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You find someone else to do that part and go do whatever you want to do.
yeah. I mean, I could just go play pool with my new pool table. It's coming in
Sure.
Monday. You guys gotta go disassemble it. Um, Well, maybe by season 5, I'll let you know what. Uh, I'll have more to say about this on the podcast.
Yeah. You could also follow the Peter King route and just start buying agencies, and then you've got more work to do.
Yeah.
But I think the like actual
Yeah.
day-to-day work that Peter does is a lot of like meetings and writing and thinking.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'm sure he does thinking. I'm sure he does all of that. It's more the fact that, like, for the folks that do write, and going back to the selection bias, it's like the folks that are doing essentially content marketing, right? When they publish those thoughts, like those things, like, I don't know. I gotta think about this more. I gotta
Writing is just also, though, a good way to organize your thoughts and into
for sure.
something coherent. And so I think like a lot of great CEOs, even if they're not writing, like there's a big difference between content marketing and just like writing. And
Hmm.
so even if you're not, even if people aren't writing publicly, I think most effective CEOs are probably doing some amount of internal writing,
Hmm.
like writing process documents, writing memos that like on here's
Hmm.
the direction we're going. And again, like writing is just one form of communication. There are other forms. You can record
Yeah, yeah,
videos, or you can give live presentations, or there's different ways to like communicate things. But I think writing is still like one of the most effective ways to communicate things uh, to a large group of people, and like get people, and it's easier for people to refer back to, and
yeah,
everything. So
yeah. No, fair, fair, fair. Okay. Anyway, over the hour.
yeah,
Anything else?
no man, we
Heading
covered a
out.
lot.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Oh
Cool. I'm
hey,
going to. Yeah,
when are we gonna get some miscreants hats?
we do have miscreants hats.
Oh,
Yeah, they're sold out though.
damn
I
it,
think I got. Yeah, I think I had an extra.
I want a miscreants hat.
If we have an extra, I'll send you one.
Sick.
Yeah, you
All
got
right.
a. It's a captcha.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I do remember
Mhm.
seeing these now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see it. Sold out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Peace.
Later, dude.